Ling Feng's unwavering justification for his actions left Liang Yu in a state of stunned silence, unable to formulate a response to his pure, self-assured logic. As night fell and temperatures dropped, Ling Feng called off the feint attack due to poor visibility and led the Special Forces team back towards Shujia town, stopping to inspect the tunnel excavation site along the way. Academician Wu, overseeing the project, reported that with round-the-clock digging by the villagers, the 1,500-meter tunnel would be completed in about a month, after which 2,000 kilograms of explosives would blast Zhang Yi's shelter skyward. Ling Feng expressed satisfaction, observing the bustling site where armed soldiers guarded villagers working in shifts, carrying shovels and bamboo baskets. His inspection took a sharp turn when he noticed a particularly thin villager. Ordering the boy to remove his scarf, Ling Feng discovered a 13-year-old face. He erupted in fury, shouting at Su Dongtang and academician Wu that children under 16 were forbidden from working, declaring them the nation's future in hope. Despite Su Dongtang's protest that country children were as capable as adult laborers, Ling Feng was adamant, ordering the boy removed immediately because the tunnel site was a battlefield. The boy looked at Ling Feng with gratitude and admiration, a sight that left the observing Liang Yu even more speechless and conflicted about the captain's contradictory nature. Ling Feng then delivered a new, harsh decree to Su Dongtang: to meet the one-month deadline, digging must proceed 24 hours a day. Su Dongtang was horrified, arguing that the extreme cold made even half-hour shifts unbearable for ordinary people and pleading to know the tunnel's ultimate purpose. Ling Feng offered no explanation, instead lightly patting Su Dongtang's shoulder and stating that cooperation was mandatory for the good of Shujia town, framing the elimination of Zhang Yi as a necessity for their survival. He then left, denying any opportunity for negotiation. The special forces returned to Shujia town, where women prepared them a meal of steamed buns and grilled fish. Life settled into a grim routine. Ling Feng and the other ability users continued their daily feint attacks on the shelter, while the villagers were forced into relentless tunnel labor. Su Panzi, spared from work due to his superhuman status and destined for recruitment by Shishan base, was now completely cut off from Zhang Yi after losing his communication equipment. By the third day, the tunnel extended over 100 meters deep, and the brutal working conditions began claiming lives. The oxygen grew thin, reliant on primitive manual air pumps, combining with cold and exhaustion to trigger a fatal acute myocardial infarction in a 52-year-old construction worker named Su Yoji. A special forces medic declared the condition untreatable in the field, effectively sentencing Su Yoji to death. The sight of his still warm body ignited sorrow and then rage among the villagers. A young man threw down his shovel and roared that the treatment was inhumane, quitting on the spot, inspiring others to drop their tools and demand an explanation. Special Forces Captain Shen Hong coldly brandished his assault rifle, declaring organizational orders inviolable and labeling anyone who backed down a deserter. The implicit threat chilled the protesters, and a resigned Su Dongtang ordered Su Yoji's body carried away and the worker replaced. The death toll did not stop with Su Yoji. As the tunnel plunged deeper, the harsh environment and intense labor claimed more victims daily. Some collapsed mid-shift, others returned home after a day's work only to die in their sleep. The fragile human bodies, already strained to survive the extreme cold, broke under the added pressure. With several corpses being carried out each day, the mood in Shujia town grew volatile. While direct confrontation with the armed special forces was avoided, verbal conflicts and subtle acts of resistance became frequent. Informed of the growing unrest, Ling Feng remained preternaturally calm, as the situation was within his expectations. His management measure was brutally simple: identify and execute a few ringleaders to instill fear, and delegate the day-to-day control of the labor force to the local village chiefs and mayors, believing them far more effective at managing their own people. The fragile peace in Shujia town shattered when a group of hot-blooded young villagers attempted to seize weapons from the occupying special forces. The rebellion was instantaneous and brutally suppressed. 3 leaders were executed on the spot, their heads exploding in the freezing air, the steam of blood and sweat rising against the snow. The massacre stripped the villagers of their illusions. They realized the Shishan base was not the savior they had welcomed but a ruthless occupier, and regret curdled into hatred directed largely at Mayor Su Dongtang for inviting them in. Yet resistance meant immediate death, and compliance meant a slower one in the suffocating tunnel depths. Ling Feng made no effort to hide his contempt, viewing the executions as necessary discipline to enforce obedience. 10 days bled into one another. 32 villagers perished, the toll rising daily as the tunnel pushed past 500 meters. The work had become a death sentence. Laborers could only dig for 10 minutes before surfacing for air. Liang Yu, watching the carnage, confronted Ling Feng on the feasibility of reaching the 1500-meter target. The captain dismissed the mounting casualties with cold pragmatism, stating they had no choice without modern machinery and that the sacrifice would ultimately serve as revenge against Zhang Yi. Liang Yu recognized the absurdity. The villagers now loathed Ling Feng far more than the distant shelter owner, but her protests fell on deaf ears. Every meter gained now cost lives. Inside the shelter, Zhang Yi received Liang Yu's grim report. At this pace, the tunnel would breach their perimeter in half a month, claiming hundreds more. She urged him to intervene, warning the cleanup would be difficult if he waited too long. Zhang Yi remained unruffled, smiling faintly as he assured her he had a plan and would honor their agreement. He probed for intelligence on enemy dispositions, learning that most ordinary soldiers had been pulled back to Su family town to suppress potential riots, leaving only the superhuman captains to maintain the feint attacks. With the enemy's guard lowered by the long stalemate, Zhang Yi decided the time had come to deliver a shock. Meanwhile, in a commandeered residence in Shujia town, the 5 captains Ling Feng, Shi Daon, Zheng Shuerong, Shin Hong, and Yu Lang feasted at a table groaning with food. Their superhuman metabolisms demanded the caloric equivalent of 70 to 80 villagers per meal, a consumption rate that would exhaust the town's reserves in months. Mayor Su Dongtang, summoned to discuss the timeline and the food crisis, entered to find the officers gorging themselves. Ling Feng, playing the gracious host, pressed Su Dongtang to join them, casually reminding him that great power entailed great responsibility. The mayor's attempt to negotiate reduced rations and a departure date was derailed when Ling Feng complained about the monotony of grilled fish and demanded red meat instead. Su Dongtang, stunned by the inversion of guest and host, explained that the townspeople were starving, their fish stocks diverted to the soldiers. Ling Feng affected sympathy, then abruptly announced the team would leave tomorrow. Hope flared in Su Dongtang. Inviting a god was easy, sending one away hard, but it was extinguished in the next breath. Ling Feng warned that Zhang Yi, having endured days of bombardment, would not forget Shujia town's complicity. With the special forces gone, the town would face his vengeance alone. The mayor realized the trap. They could neither sustain the occupiers nor survive their departure. The town was a hostage, caught between the hammer of the Xishan base and the anvil of Zhang Yi's inevitable retribution. Su Dongtang stood frozen, utterly speechless in the face of Ling Feng's cold logic. Ling Feng smiled, a gesture devoid of warmth, and declared that they could not leave Shujia town, they had to stay to protect it. His demand was immediate and brutal. Starting the next day, the food rations for the special forces would be doubled. Su Dongtang protested weakly, arguing that such an increase would starve the villagers. Ling Feng's steel-gray eyes bore into him, delivering an ultimatum with chilling indifference. If the villagers died, the Su family could still survive. But if the soldiers died, not a single blade of grass would remain in Su family town. With no power to negotiate, Su Dongtang relayed the order that night. The air filled with curses and hatred for the occupiers, but come morning, the terrified and broken villagers complied, delivering the demanded food. Resistance had been crushed, and survival, however meager, dictated obedience. Time passed with a grim, monotonous rhythm. More than half a month slipped by. According to the seismic monitoring, the tunnel from the riverbank had advanced to approximately 700 meters. The cost in human life within Shujia town had already surpassed 100 souls. The villagers, driven by gunpoint and relentless 24-hour shifts, had grown utterly numb, their spirits broken, forgetting even the original purpose of their brutal labor. Inside the shelter, life was a stark contrast. Zhang Yi, Yang Xia, Zhou Ke, and the others lived in leisure, with ample food and entertainment, from card games to badminton on the spacious third underground level. To maintain the illusion of a stalemate, Ling Feng and his captains continued their daily, perfunctory attacks on the shelter's main entrance. Zhang Yi would occasionally emerge to shout insults and fire random shots, never venturing far, reinforcing the enemy's belief that he was too afraid and complacent to ever leave his fortress. On a particular morning, Zhang Yi awoke early. After a leisurely breakfast, he began a meticulous preparation. He dressed not in casual wear, but in a complete set of pure white combat gear retrieved from his alternate dimension. The outfit consisted of 2 layers, an inner lining for insulation with a golden sword emblem, and an outer combat uniform focused on defense, both featuring built-in temperature control systems. The design was a precise, superior quality imitation of the Xishan base Special Forces uniforms. He donned matching white combat boots and a bulletproof helmet equipped with a communicator and tactical goggles. He spent over half an hour checking his firearms and ammunition. Finally, he placed his mutant cat, Hua Hua, on his shoulder. Having discerned the enemy's pattern, that the powerful mutant captains would be away from the town each day to stage their feint attacks, Zhang Yi had decided the time was right to shift from passive defense to active counteraction. He intended to give them a little shock. Zhang Yi proceeded to the 3rd basement level, to a concealed corner of the sports stadium. He lifted a specific floor panel, revealing a series of old-fashioned mechanical locks. Using a yellow key, he opened 3 successive doors, unveiling a white staircase leading downward. At the bottom stood a massive, silver-gray alloy door as formidable as the shelter's main entrance. After iris and palm print verification, the door rumbled open, revealing a long, softly lit corridor. Parked inside was a black electric motorcycle, left there by the shelter's builders for a quick escape. Zhang Yi mounted it, started it via another iris scan, and sped down the gradually ascending tunnel. The corridor, 2.5 kilometers long, terminated at an outward opening alloy door hidden within a low hillside north of Yunkei Manor. Zhang Yi opened the final door. A surge of snow and ice tumbled inward, bringing a wave of intense cold. He dodged aside, then pushed through into the open. The exit was cunningly disguised as a tall tombstone, situated in a snow-buried forest on a hillside. The snow was nearly 5 meters deep, with only the bare tops of trees visible. Zhang Yi instructed Hua Hua, who reluctantly enlarged herself and used her large paws to scrape snow over the tombstone entrance, effectively concealing it. Once the cat shrank back to normal size, Zhang Yi gave a nod. Together, man and cat turned and began trekking through the relentless wind and snow, moving away from the shelter and towards Shujia town. Their target was the now vulnerable settlement, guarded only by ordinary soldiers and a few modified humans, while its most dangerous defenders were preoccupied with their daily charade at a distant, impregnable door.